Learning French in a year, how possible or how impossible is it? Hi, my name is Chris from OuiCommunicate. I'm a French teacher, and I realized that in some of my videos I mention in passing, a year is all it takes to learn French, and it's not something I really think of. I've come to accept this idea as normal, and I don't really rationalize it too much. I'm not even sure why I say this. I've just accepted this idea as normal. And I realize that for some learners, some people, it might be a challenging idea. It might seem like I'm boasting, or I'm speaking of unrealistic things. I'm setting unrealistic standards. So I dug up a video from 2 years ago in which I indeed have a student who learned French in a year or less, and it's actually, if you want to check it for yourself. So I'll be commenting on this video, but you can watch the video without the comment, of course. And it's called "Here's to all you expats. American lady speaks French in a year and under 200 hours." And there's a little story actually behind this video. There's a little backstory. I remember I was in a class with her one time, an online class, and she was still living in New York, because the purpose of her learning, of doing French classes with me, was to move to France. And so she was still doing classes in New York, and she wanted to prepare her move to France in a serious way. She didn't want to get to France and say, "Oh dear, they speak French over here, do they?" So she wanted to avoid that sort of surprise, and she's one of the first people who trusted me, and I will be eternally grateful to that person who, if she ever watches this video, thanks a lot for your trust. It's been a beautiful experience. It's been a beautiful trip together into the French language. And the reason I mentioned 200 hours explicitly is because it just happened that we were talking about learning techniques, and then I looked up on the internet during our class, and I fell on the website of the Foreign Service Institute, which is an American organization, the Foreign Service Institute. And they suggest, apparently, according to their numbers, that to achieve basic fluency, you need 480 hours in a foreign language, 480 hours. And I will raise my right hand and swear on anything sacred that I have around me, on my wife's honor, on my own honor, that I looked at her name is Bree, and I said, 480 hours. And did we do 480 hours? And we wanted to know, did we do 480 hours? Not in a competitive sense, but just genuine curiosity. How long did we spend together? We did the maths, the hours of learning we'd done together in a week, in the average week, multiplied it by, and we came to 200. Then we felt quite proud of ourselves. We thought, well, we slashed that number in two, didn't we? We did quite well, you and I. And she had indeed achieved more than basic fluency in 200 hours, and I think it's a year, or just beyond a year. I can't exactly remember, because it was 2 years ago. And so that's one of the first students who ever trusted me. So I'll be a little video here, screen will be appearing, and I'll be commenting on our lesson and telling you how it relates to my classes, the parts of the learning that I understand or that I recognize from my classes, and I'll be telling you where she learnt them and how she learnt them and what I hear as a teacher. So I propose we start, and I'm going to launch the video player, and I'll be commenting on my own class and on my own student.
J'ai parlé à la pharmacienne, on a discuté des instructions pour un médicament, un probiotique. J'ai compris tout.
Oui, oui. Ça ne m'étonne pas du tout.
So I've just hit pause. Okay, what I noticed is, of course, she starts by saying, "J'ai parlé à une pharmacienne." I thought that the second "a," she sharpened that since then, but her second "a," pharmacienne, the second "a" was not as sharp as it could have been, but j'ai parlé, of course, we study that tense. It's a basic tense, passé composé, ER verbs, they all work the same. No surprise there. So I just taught her the method. How do you use this past tense in French? You can do it once, you can do it 1,000 times. It's all she studied. It was really easy. So I spoke to a pharmacist, is what she's saying in French. J'ai parlé une pharmacienne. I like the pronunciation. I thought the second A could have been sharper, pharmacienne, but anyway. Then she did two liaisons very well. On a and des instructions. So on a discuté des instructions, I think is what she said. Discuter is another ER verb. We discussed about the instructions relating to the medication that she bought in France at the pharmacist. She has all the tools. I mean, discuter is not harder than parler. On a. She did the exercise on the liaisons, you know, the linking sounds. There's several linking sounds in French. There's the S, but there's also the N, and sometimes there's even the T when you link between words. And that's it. All you need to do is do an exercise and you're on your way. And pour, she used pour, which is, we used P-O-U-R, pour, to express a purpose in French. It's very easy. That's what she studied, and that's the reason she can do it. Okay, let's move on.
M'étonne pas.
Comment?
Ça ne m'étonne pas.
Oh, ça m'étonne.
Yeah, so I said something in French, ça m'étonne pas, but I was mumbling a bit because she's still at a beginner level, even though she speaks very well. Well, that's one of the skills. You can't accelerate that skill. So some people ask me sometimes, when will it happen that I'll be able to understand native French speakers at top speed? But that has to do, what we're really doing with is transforming vibrations into information, and that's a skill in itself. It's very hard. So this is why her productive skills are better than her receptive skills. She's still somewhat of a beginner. It doesn't happen anymore because she's still doing classes with me. But in the beginning, you know, when I mumbled, if I say ça m'étonne pas, you know, I'm not surprised, because I'm telling her I'm not surprised that everyone understood her, because she was, what she's telling me here in this video, she's so happy that all the people that she spoke to today in France, they all understood her, and it's a very satisfying thing when you, I think we're going to talk about it later in the video, when the theoretical thing, the abstract thing you studied in your French class has a real application in everyday life. And then she's telling me, it actually works. It's actually, I understood everyone, they understand me, and she's so happy. Oh, I'm happy for her, really. And so I had to repeat it, and then she said, ça m'étonne. But we didn't yet study that skill, because what she's doing is she's playing on the English intonation, English codes of intonation, and what she's saying is, I'm surprised. But what she should have said is, moi, comma, ça m'étonne, me, comma, it surprises me. That's just how we do it in French, but she couldn't know. We didn't yet study that skill. Let's press play.
J'ai parlé à quelqu'un dans une autre pharmacie au sujet de commander quelque chose. Et je n'ai pas de peur.
Non, tu n'as pas peur.
Je n'ai pas peur.
Exactement, bravo, ouais.
Yeah, so what she's doing here is she's telling me she's not afraid. What's great is she felt that something wasn't right, because she told me, je n'ai pas de peur. Because she knows that she's confusing two rules. So she knows that we don't say il n'y a pas un magasin. There isn't a shop in French. She knows that rule. She studied it, and she knows that we're supposed to say il n'y a pas de magasin. There isn't of a shop. So here, what she's doing is she said je n'ai pas de peur, and then she's thinking, yeah, something doesn't feel right. And then she remembered the lessons. You know, I have hunger, I have thirst, I have pain. I call them the 6 basic states of French, and we spoke about it. Imagine what I mean is you're lost in a forest, all alone, you know, you're naked, and then the 6 basic states, what's going to happen? Well, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be thirsty, you're going to feel pain, you're going to be cold, you're going to be afraid, and these 6 basic states, if you want, are used with avoir, you know, j'ai peur, I have fear, j'ai faim, I have hunger, j'ai soif, I have thirst, and there's 6 of them, you know, j'ai mal, I have pain, and so forth. And she knows this, but then she had a doubt and said, well, how do you say when I don't have fear? Je n'ai pas de, no, it's probably j'ai pas peur. I'm not afraid. She's not afraid of going out in France and speaking to various business people, and I'm very happy for her. And she said au sujet de, about ordering, au sujet de commander. Some things are a bit harder to say in French. I spoke to someone about ordering something, you know, this sort of genitive, you know, ing form. It's a bit hard in French sometimes. But the U in sujet is a bit too close. Sujet, sujet. She could have opened it more, sujet, but now she does it properly. And she said, j'ai parlé à quelqu'un, once more, you know, I spoke to someone, not very hard. I love the way she does the sound un, quelqu'un. The sound un is very rare in French, because there's only about 7 words that use un, but it's all over the place because of the presence of un, one, the number one, you know. And for that reason, we really have to learn that sound, and she did learn it, and now she can do it. And that's all there is to it, because I have an exercise on it, and she can do it. Dans une, she does a beautiful liaison here. Dans une, in a, dans une. She did the exercise, she rationalized it, she learnt that we say dans une. That's why she can do it. And voilà, so she's self-corrected. Let's press play.
Je n'ai pas peur. J'ai dû faire prendre 3 photos pour mon rendez-vous lundi pour,
Oui.
pour le renouvellement de visa.
Tu es allé chez un photographe?
Wow, now she's really flexing her skills, her muscles here, her French skills. J'ai dû faire prendre. Now, devoir, must, I had to have taken. I had to, because she knows it's the photographer that's an advanced skill, but she studied it. It's in one of my exercises. I know how she can do it because she learned it off my website. J'ai dû, I had to, so devoir, must, je dois, j'ai dû, I had to do something. She's still using the same past tense, but she knows that it's someone else. You know, I had to have my picture taken. But how do you say that in English? I had to have my picture taken. J'ai dû faire prendre, to make take my photo by someone else. She can use this skill because she learned it. I still remember when we learned it together, and that's why she can use it. J'ai dû faire prendre des photos. And then I'm asking her in French, tu es allé chez un photographe, you went to a photographer, a professional photographer. Let's press play.
Oui.
Ah oui, ok.
Et ma mère m'a dit qu'il y avait un service au Super U ou chez Super U.
Ah, c'est intéressant ça. On peut dire les deux, je dirais, on peut dire les deux.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, first of all, what I hear as a teacher, beautiful sounds, consistency. I always tell my students, consistency. A has to sound the same way in every word in French. It's a very consistent language. So, ma mère m'a dit qu'il y avait un service. I think she says il y avait. I'm going to rewind it just to make sure.
Ma mère m'a dit qu'il y avait.
She did! She got it! Wow, I'm so proud of her. It's called reported speech. So, first of all, I'm speaking about different things here. I'm so proud of her. I'll tell you why. Ma mère m'a dit qu'il y avait a. Beautiful sounds. Beautiful sounds. I hear it like music. She does this very well. She really sharpened her sounds. Beautiful. Ma mère m'a dit the e is beautiful, the a is beautiful, the e is beautiful. That's what I want to hear when we do French together. But what she's also throwing in, not only the past tense, my mum told me that, she's using the reported speech. You know why she can do it? Because she learnt it. Oh, she learnt it, and I know where on the website it is. Reported speech. What does that mean? The present tense changes. I think the building is beautiful. He told me he thought the building was beautiful. So we have to change the tenses. There's several changes, right? For example, the imperative becomes the infinitive. Get off my land, it's the imperative. He told me to get off his land, it becomes the infinitive. So there's always a transfer. The reason she can do it is because she studied it. Now, the next thing, she's hesitating because she's talking about a supermarket. And, you know, we use the word chez, C-H-E-Z, or Z for the Americans, to refer to the professional workplace, chez le dentiste, at the dentist. Now she knows this exists, and that's what I always tell my students. If you can rationalize a language, you might not be 100% right all the time, but you know where to look for answers, and she knows there's an answer to find. She can feel it. There's an answer to find. She says, do we say chez or do we say au? Because she's talking about a supermarket. Do we say au Super U? Chez Super U? And she's hesitating, but she knows that there's an answer to find. That's the beautiful thing about it. When you rationalize, you know what's happening. Otherwise, that's my take on it. I'm not saying I'm right, but you're navigating in the dark, I think. Now she knows that there are answers to find. So I said, you can say both, chez Super U, au Super U, because it's a le Super U, à le Super U, chez Super U. It doesn't make a big difference, but you can't say au dentiste. Of course not. You have to say chez le dentiste. But it's beautiful that she knows that there are answers to find. I love it. Let's press play.
Un service au Super U ou chez Super U.
Ah, c'est intéressant ça. On peut dire les deux, je dirais, on peut dire les deux. Ouais. Au Super U, chez Super U. Ouais. Ok.
Chez Super U. Elle m'a dirigé vers
Oui.
un photomaton.
Oh, ouais.
Mais je ne voulais pas utiliser un photomaton parce qu'en Amérique, je sais, tu m'as dit que les Européens utilisent les photomatons, mais,
Ouais.
mais je voulais faire prendre mes photos par un professionnel parce que je voulais faire attention.
Oui, voilà.
It's very clear. I love it. She speaks so clearly. Je voulais faire prendre, I wanted to have taken my pictures by a professional. Je voulais faire prendre mes photos par un professionnel parce que je voulais faire attention. All these skills, these are little blocks of skill that she's putting into sentences, and it's absolutely beautiful. Les Européens de liaison, she didn't have to think about it. You know, we worked on all these sounds, ou, un, all these nasal sounds, un. She worked on those. Les Européens, that's why she can say that. She didn't use reported speech here, because she knows the difference. She said, you told me that Europeans use photomaton, and these are little selfie camera cubicles. You know, when you go for your ID, passport photos, little cubicles. You know, you pay, you put your pennies in, and you sit down in the cubicle, and you have your pictures taken. It's a European thing, I think. And so she told me, well, you told me that Europeans use them. She didn't say it in the past tense. Tu m'as dit que les Européens utilisaient, because it's still true today. So sometimes we can choose. You know, when you say my name, he told me his name was Jim, but we can ask the question, well, has he changed name since, or is his name still Jim? So you can sort of say, he told me that his name is Jim or was Jim. But so she knows about this rule, which is brilliant. Elle m'a dirigé vers. Now this is beautiful. To direct someone towards. Elle m'a dirigé vers. Beautiful I, beautiful E, beautiful A. I love the way she's pronouncing all of that. Elle m'a dirigé vers. It says what it says. You know, she directed me towards. Vers means towards. She knows it. Je ne voulais pas utiliser un photomaton. She could have said de photomaton. I didn't want to use of a photomaton. She probably missed that, but je ne voulais pas utiliser un photomaton. It's all right, actually. Je ne voulais pas utiliser un photomaton. No, it's all right. You could say deux photomatons, un photomaton. It's good. No, not really a mistake. Beautiful. Je voulais, by the way, past tense, second past tense. I was in a state of wanting. Je voulais, I was in a state of wanting to do something. She knows exactly why we don't say j'ai voulu. Je voulais, I was in a state of wanting. It lasted for a while in the past. And she got it first try. Because she studied it. It's on the website. So, voilà. No secret. No secret at all.
Parce que c'est très spécifique, hein, la taille doit être respectée.
Oui, j'ai demandé à la dame au cueil, à l'accueil,
À l'accueil, oui.
à l'accueil, si elle connaissait un studio.
Oui, oui.
Et
I asked the lady at the reception if she knew a studio. We're still talking about photography. J'ai demandé à la dame à l'accueil si elle connaissait un studio. Beautiful. She knows. She's using the oh, reported speech, because when she asked it originally, she probably said, "Est-ce que vous connaissez un studio?" Do you know a studio? So I asked her if she knew a studio. We're going back in time. You know, you have to adapt the tenses. She's doing it beautifully because she learned it. No secret. J'ai demandé, I love the sounds I'm hearing. J'ai demandé à la dame, à l'accueil. It's challenging for speakers of English, these words like écureuil, squirrel, accueil. You know, in the beginning you sort of go accueil, couille. It is challenging, I'm not laughing. You know, it's part of the joys of learning, really. And she does it really well. You know, many letters for not much, because in the beginning you see that, il, or, you know, then I write it down, K-E-I. Pretend it's K-E-I, cueil, cueil, accueil. It's like when you pick a flower, je cueille une fleur. Okay, not much to worry about, really. And so she tamed that beast, and as well as many others. And I'm so proud of her. It's voilà, si elle connaissait, if she knew. She speaks with high precision. Let's press play.
elle m'a compris. J'ai utilisé le mot studio, mais je ne savais pas que ce mot marcherait.
Oh la 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 la. She didn't know that the word would work. She's using the conditional. Je ne savais pas. I was not in the state of knowing that the word would work. Je ne savais pas que le mot marcherait. So she wasn't sure of the proper vocabulary when she spoke to the lady in the supermarket. Voilà, she's using the conditional. It's beautiful. I've heard speakers, B1 level, B2 level, they can't use these skills. They don't use these skills because they probably, I don't know. They probably learned with another method. I don't know, a method in which you speak quickly from the start and you don't bother learning the grammar, you don't bother learning proper. I don't know what they do. I don't know. I just, a lot of more advanced speakers don't have these skills, and she does. I'm very proud of her. Wow. Well done. Well done.
Oui, oui, oui. Oui.
J'ai fait prendre mes photos et j'ai parlé à la photographe et,
Ah,
et ma mère ne m'a pas aidée. Oui.
Yeah, so she spoke to the photographer and her mum didn't help her because her mum has been living in France for several decades, I think. She has a house in France, so her mum's level is much higher. And originally this student was quite nervous at the thought of speaking French in real France with real people. And in this recording, it's her own victory. She had this first victory that I documented on video about her really going out and speaking to these people and explaining complicated things. You know, you're going up to a supermarket to someone, hello, do you have a photography thingy? I need ID photos and all that. So she had to explain all of these in French, and ma mère ne m'a pas aidé. She's doing a beautiful liaison with pas aidé. You know why she knows this? Not because it just rubbed off on her by miracle, because I taught it. Well, she learnt it. I'm not going to say I taught it. She learnt it. That's the truth of the matter. I didn't plant the knowledge in her head. That never happens. She learnt it. She went on the website. She said, okay, what are the cases in which I have to do z between words? And dans un, she placed that. Pas une, you know, ne m'a pas aidé. She knows. She knows because she learnt it. There's no secret. There's really no secret. Elle m'a compris, she said. Elle m'a compris. Yeah, she understood me. Comprendre. RE verbs, a bit bit tricky in the past tense. These are the least predictables, the RE verbs. Comprendre, compris. Donc, voilà, très bien. Oui, let's press play.
Et, et des choses comme ça m'étonnent.
Oui, ça fait toujours une drôle d'impression quand on se rend compte que la langue qu'on a étudiée fonctionne dans la réalité.
Oui, oui.
Hein.
C'est difficile.
Yeah, I'm just telling her it's always a strange impression when the language you studied somewhat artificially has a real use in reality. It actually works. All these skills that she studied in a year or less, or a little more than a year, I don't know, 200 hours or so, when they actually work in reality. And she's so happy, and she said, yeah, it's true, it's funny, it's a funny impression. Now she's about to answer.
Différent. Parler aux gens dans ce
Oui.
contexte est différent de parler aux gens socialement.
Yeah, she's pointing out that speaking to people in this context professionally with someone who's probably in a hurry professionally is different from speaking to people socially.
Ah oui, bien sûr, oui. Ah oui. Parce qu'il y a toujours un petit terme ou deux, trois petits termes comme ça spécialisés qu'il faut connaître. Hein.
Oui. En parlant de...
Yeah, and so I said, yeah, it's always difficult because there's always one little specialized term that you have to know. If you go to the pharmacist, you have your photo taken. In each of these little cases, there's always a little specialized term that might pop up and that might surprise you. And then she agrees, and she's going to answer something here.
vocabulaire.
Hein?
Valérie m'a enseigné un nouveau mot aujourd'hui.
Ah.
Repu.
Oh, wow. And by the way, did you see what she placed? En parlant de, speaking of. That's another tense. I always forget if it's the present participle or the gerund. I'm sorry, it's parlant. One of the two has en in front of it, the other one doesn't have en, and they both have a different name. But what she's saying is, speaking of this, en parlant de vocabulaire, speaking of vocabulary, on the matter of vocabulary, that's quite good actually, to place that. Speaking of vocabulary, comma, Valérie is the lady who cleans the house, and she's French, and elle m'a enseigné un nouveau mot de vocabulaire. So she's telling me that Valérie, the person who cleans, the lady who cleans, taught her, enseigné, beautiful verb, un nouveau mot de vocabulaire, repu, which is quite advanced, and repu, R-E-P-U-S, repu, which means you're full, you've eaten enough, your stomach's full.
Je suis repu.
Je suis repu.
C'est un bon mot.
Elle avait mangé. Je suppose qu'elle avait mangé, non?
Oui, mais non, elle ne mangeait pas, mais elle pensait à une circonstance imaginaire.
Ah, donc elle te l'a dit, voilà.
Oh, okay, that's interesting because I asked her, well, was she eating? Why did she happen to mention repu, which is a literary French, really? It's literary French. You know, you rarely would say je suis repu, I've eaten enough. It's rarely something you would place. And I'm asking her, well, was she eating? And then Brie is answering, no, she wasn't eating. Elle ne mangeait pas, but she was thinking of a word that she could teach me, a useful word. And it's interesting because it opens another conversation of sort of what happens when the locals, well-intentioned locals, want to teach a word, and Brie's asking me, is it a good word to know? And well, yes and no. I mean, how many times a year are you going to use it? So in my own classes, I'm focusing on skills, and I call it going upstream. What are the skills that hold the language together? And this student knows them all. Most of them. Okay, let's not say all of them. No, most of them. Sorry, and But repu is such a literary word that it's interesting when you have an input from people who, well, who don't have that teacher's interpretation of a language, who may be well intentioned and say, oh, you should say repu instead of saying j'ai bien mangé. And let's see what we say now. Oh, was that the end of it? Oh dear. Well, there's a okay, it's funny because just after my video there's someone else who came up, the top French phrases for travel you need to know. I'm not even going to start on this. I did not prepare this. I think that was the end of our conversation with my students, but I don't know. You can't learn. No, it doesn't. Oh dear me. No, it won't work. You have to learn skills, not phrases. Go upstream. A phrase is downstream. You're not going to learn phrases off by heart and place them. You have to learn the skills, and this is why this student here could speak so well in a year. It's not by learning phrases, I must say. Well, anyway, I hope this video was interesting to watch, and that it gave you, I don't know, hope, a different maybe approach to French. It showed you that it is possible. The lady in this video has no special skill. She just did, essentially. She trusted the teacher, myself. She just went to the exercises, and I said, listen, you need to know this, that, and that. You need to know these verbs, and we'll get to it. And in a year or less, it works. It can't fail. It's really what I mean. It can't fail. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying, you know, that's why my video only has 166 plays. It's so below the radar. I don't know what other schools do. I don't know what other teachers do either. I don't know why people take 5 years to learn French. I don't get it. I honestly do not get it. And I realize I have an arrogant like innocence. Look at him, he thinks he's so good, he doesn't understand why we're struggling. It's not really that, but to me it's like it's a no-brainer. It's a no failure mission. Log in, do an exercise, get it right or wrong, and learn it. It's not hard work. You won't be sweating bullets. It won't be painful. It's a very rational and basic method. It's simple. It's a basic method. I've not figured out anything special. I think the bilingual angle helps a lot. That's sort of the secret sauce, isn't it? The fact that I know English and I know how an English-speaking person is going to approach French, and the fact that I teach English also. So I think my teaching of French is direct towards those types of learners, specifically who have English as a first language. But otherwise, it's quite basic. Okay, well, I'm running out of battery here, so thank you very much for watching. I hope it was useful. A year is all you need. I'm Chris from OuiCommunicate. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.